Today we talk about what to wear when you're going cycling in freezing temperatures. Hello legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. In today's video, I decided to make a video specifying a guide on what to wear when the temperatures are freezing. What do I mean by that? A lot of the garments are sold and they say deep winter gloves, whatever, depending on the manufacturer. It doesn't give you a clue as to when you can wear it. With the temperatures hitting southeastern Texas this week, where over the weekend, we're like 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is below where we normally are. And that's cold anywhere. When it's 25, it probably felt like 20 when you're on the road. I did not go out this weekend. Decided to take the week to kind of let my body rest up before I start my intense training for the next phase. And so I wanted to use this based on requests from super legends to focus on a guide by temperature ranges on what to wear. This is just the start, and then I will release other guides for different temperature ranges. So we're focusing on the range from 7 Celsius or 45 degrees Fahrenheit and lower, below freezing, basically below 0 Celsius. 0 Celsius is the freezing mark, and below that, you can have ice on the ground, whatever, but the temperature, the chill hits you. So I want to focus on that today and kind of use that as a start for the guide for that range. And then I will make other videos. I will put links in here to them in the future. But what we want to start with is when you're going out from, say, 45 Fahrenheit and lower, you've got to protect, of course, your extremities, your feet, your hands, your head, as well as your torso. So what I want to talk about, we'll start with the torso. At a minimum, and it's going to vary for everybody, at a minimum you want a base layer. It can be from anybody. This is a Rafa Protein thermal base layer. They have other base layers out there. You want something that breathes, that will not stay wet on you because that will make you cold when you stop. You want it to breathe and take the sweat off of your body because when you stay dry, you can handle being out there longer. This is a very breathable garment. There are different vendors that make some. ASOS has one. You can find them on Craft and other things, but don't go cheap on your base layer. Make sure it is breathable. It doesn't need to be expensive, but make sure the quality, make sure the garment is breathable wherever you end up getting it from. That's critical. All right, let's put this back here. Some riders run colder than others. That's why this is a guide. If you're one of those that run really cold, what I usually do is I wear a sleeveless, breathable base layer. This one is made by Santini. I put this on first, then I put on this. So I got 2 base layers, and then I go to the next layer I'm going to bring in, which is a jersey or a jacket. You also want them to be breathable. Wherever you get them from, doesn't matter, but they need to be breathable. This is a thermal jersey. It's not just a long sleeve jersey. What's the significance? Let me show you something here. This is also a long sleeve jersey. This is from Souke Sports, but it's not for the temperature range from 7C or lower because this is not thermal. The air will just go through this thing and you will be cold. So don't just get a long sleeve jersey thinking all long sleeve jerseys are thermal. They're not. You need to make sure that they're warm, that they got some kind of a backing in there, like this one has. This one, besides the fact that Rafa states is thermal, the fabric is heavier. The fabric has different things in there. Just the design of it is even a clue that lets you know it's thermal. I'm going to bring another thermal jersey that Rafa makes and show you what I'm talking about. This is the Pro Team thermal jersey. They call this the GSM fabric. And when you look inside, you can just see the design of the fabric. Hopefully the camera will do it justice here. You see it look like, see the little ridges in there? All of that not only keeps you warm, but that's the thermal properties that wicks the moisture away from your body. They don't have to have those lines in them for them to be thermal. I'm going to bring the one by ASOS that is also a thermal base layer. Okay, now this one has carbon fiber in it or whatever it has in it. Whenever I would take it out, what I did notice was that all the moisture was on the outside. That means whatever perspiration I was generating came through this to the next layer. And then the next layer had to be breathable to pick it up, and so forth and so on. That's why you must make sure everything you wear is breathable, because layering is the key. You don't want to just get a big jacket or something and put one thing on thinking that's going to work for you, because the temperature doesn't always stay the same. And then depending on how hard you ride, you can really boil. So you need garments that will breathe, because as you ride, your temperature will change as your body heats up. Remember that. So besides the torso now, I'm not going to talk about the tights yet. I want to add this. So I talked about a base layer, short sleeve. Then I talked about a base layer, long sleeve, whatever brand you want. I will put links in this video with some suggested brands. These are not very pricey, but I like to get the high quality stuff because they last a lot of seasons and they work really well. But besides the two base layer and the whatever thermal jersey you choose to wear, there are times when you may need a windbreaker or even a gilet. So you have to be flexible in terms of how you wear. So what I want to focus on is, at a bare minimum, you need base layer on, and then you need a thermal jersey or a jacket on at a minimum. And if it's going to be a windy day where you're going north into the wind, you got to deal with that. You might want to get something light like this that breathes on the back and also blocks the wind. And there's a light layer to where it can go over everything and be like a shield, and you could always take it off and fold it as the day changes. But that's kind of what you need. You need your body protected with layers. Now, as far as the lower body, you need to wear a bib tight or a thermal pair of bibs with arm and leg warmers. Now, I will talk about the bib tights first, and then I will show you some of the leg warmers. And I said arm or leg warmers because if you don't have a long sleeve thermal, you can wear a warm thermal jersey and put on arm warmers. We'll come to that in a bit. So it gives you some kind of flexibility, but focus more on the process than specifically what I'm talking about. So for the torso, process is base layer, jersey, protect your arms. Out of the jersey can be long and thermal, or you can wear arm warmers. There are some times when you may feel colder than the next person. You may need to put a jacket even over your arm warmers. And that's why I talked about this little windshield here. Or you could just wear a jacket on top of the jersey and use this jersey as another layer. How many layers you need will vary based on you as an individual and the outside temperatures, meaning is it a day where it may be below 7 or at 7 or below, but then you have a lot of wind chill. They're all going to vary. So you got to vary that, because if it's a day where it says it's 7 or it's 6 Celsius, meaning 39, 40, 42 Fahrenheit, but then it's kind of a warmer 39, meaning it actually feels like the temperature, you may skip this layer that I talked about. You got to play with that. It's just a guide. Now, these are needed when it's very cold because they have on the inside of them, take this thing off, like this one is made by Castelli, and they have some kind of a fabric on the inside that actually is not in our standard summer shorts, bib shorts that we use for cycling. So these are different, they're important. This that I'm wearing, I will not wear in the temperature ranges we're talking about. It doesn't have any of what I just showed you. The air will go right through it. Souke calls them leggings, but they're really just something you'd wear maybe on, say, 18 Celsius ride or something. It's just slightly cool that day. That's really what they're for. They're not for really cold weather. So that's why I'm wearing it, to make this explanation, because not all bib tights are created equal. It's important. The entire leg, I'm going to flip it. You can see they have different fabric that they put inside. That's what keeps you warm. And they're breathable. The front usually blocks the wind. The back is more breathable. They even put in some kind of a screen here that you can see on the back so you can basically ventilate. Because this is almost like a small layer per se. So you will have to consider that when you layer your torso, because this is on your back. All right, let me put this down here. Now, let's talk about those of you who don't have the bib tights. It's 7C or below. They also sell thermal bibs that are short, just like the summer bibs, but they have lining on the inside. Now, with some vendors, you want to make sure you consider sizing up, because once they put all that stuff in there, if they don't have a lot of stretch, it can be fitted very tight when you put it on. And you may not need to really get your same size. You may want to get a size up so you can get the same comfort that you get from your summer bibs. But when you do wear those bibs, you want to pair them with leg warmers. So you've got, I'm going to show leg warmers because I'm really not going to talk about knee warmers in this temperature range because it's just too cold for them. Some riders do, but I wouldn't recommend that. These are leg warmers, okay? You don't need to spend a whole lot, but you need to get some that have these little silicone grips or have good grips so they don't slip when you're riding. There's no point in wearing leg warmers that don't stay up. Don't depend on the shorts to keep them up. They need to have their own little silicone grippers that keep them on your leg, okay? So, do a little bit of research and invest, because you want the good ones that will last several seasons, so you're not always buying them. So with the leg warmers and your tights, your bib tights, basically not the full bib tights, your thermal bibs, you basically eliminate the need for a full length bib tight. So what's going to happen is on days where you have varying temperatures, these can be easily removed. But we're focusing on days that it will stay cold. I'm only giving you the flexibility that if you don't have full bib tights, you don't need to run out and buy them. If you happen to have thermal bibs, the short ones, you can pair them with leg warmers that you have if you want to go that route. It gives you a lot more flexibility because those thermal bibs can be worn. In the next video, I would make about the other temperature ranges. They can be worn without these guys comfortably. That gives you more range. Okay, so we talked about the torso, we talked about the legs. Now, the areas that really give me the most challenge are my feet and my hands. So let's talk about the feet first. Because in cold weather, they're easily solved with overshoes. So whether you want to get the overshoes that have zippers on them that you slip, this one has a zipper that you basically slip over your shoe, and then that's the cleat hole. You get that over the cleat hole, you slide that's for your heel. You zip it up, you're ready to go. They have the old school kind. These are called over socks. Okay, they're not as common nowadays, but I have a bunch of them because back in the day, that's what we used. They're nice. This one is a copy I got from Rafa. They already have the holes in them. Some of them you have to cut the holes and they put lines on them when you get them. These over socks will keep your feet relatively warm over your shoes. They'll keep your shoes covered. They're not for wet days. These are water resistant to maybe a couple of hours because they have DWR treatment, but in persistent rain, they will get wet. If you really want to stay dry on a cold ride, then you need to use, let me grab them. Where are they? Okay. These are the guys that I have tested that will keep your feet dry. They're made by a company called Veloharmony. The only issue with them is they're going to work great in this temperature range 7C or below, because if you wear them any warmer than that, your feet will literally sweat. When you take them off, you will have a lot of perspiration because they don't breathe at all, but they will keep your feet completely dry. If you're in a situation where it's cold and it's wet, you definitely want to keep your feet dry. That is an option. These also are made by AccessoriesWomen, and they're very lightweight. They will not keep you warm, but they will keep your feet dry. So if you already have warm socks on, like these 3 out of 3 or any other winter sock made by any of the vendor, of course, that's what you want to put on your feet when it's cold. Winter socks that are breathable. Because it's not the thickness of the socks that will keep your feet warm. is the fact that they wick the moisture, the perspiration you generate if you're riding for a lot of hours in the rain off your feet. So I just wanted to put these in there. I like these because they're also made by ASOS, but they're great for very cold temperatures. These are their Ultras overshoes. The only thing about them is I tested them in the rain and they lasted 2 hours before water got through. The ironic thing though is even though water got through and my feet got wet, my feet still stayed warm. So something about what they do, they thermoregulate. But I still didn't like the fact that the water went through. They did not sell these as waterproof. They sold them as water resistant. They do have another one that is made specifically that they push as waterproof. It has a blue tag on it. I don't have a copy here right now, but I requested one and hopefully I'll get one soon. But when it's going to be cold and wet, you can't mess around with your hands and your feet because if you're miserable there, it doesn't matter what's going on here. You're just really not going to be staying out there very long. You're not going to feel good. So now that I talked about the feet, I'm going to get to the hands. This review is just about, this guide is just about giving you an idea. I will do more specific things on gloves, the whole range of gloves from summer all the way to freezing. And put in your comments there if it's something that you'd like to see, so I can go more in depth on how you layer and so forth. But today what I want to talk about the hands is in this temperature range, you want to break out your warmest gloves. Some companies make lobster, what they call the lobster finger, where they keep 2 fingers on one side and 2 fingers on the other. They're pretty warm. I don't have a copy of that. I don't particularly like using them that much. Down here, we don't get that cold that long. But what I found that has worked really well are these Ultras gloves by ASOS. They work really well. But once it gets below 0, they work fine from like 0 to 5C. They're okay, especially with a liner. I use this liner here or a wooling liner here. You can line these and put them in there. Once they get around 0 Celsius, -2 Celsius, your hands start tingling a little. They get uncomfortable even in the Ultras. These are made by Giro. They're called the Giro Proof gloves. And they're rated below freezing, but it's going to vary once again with every rider. Like the Ultras, they protect your hands even when it's wet. The Ultra will keep water off. You're not going to be riding like this, because if this gets wet, yeah, the water will go through eventually if it gets rained on continually. But since you're on the bike like this keeps the water running off. This whole thing keeps water. It's water resistant. It's not fully waterproof. This is even more water resistant. They call it waterproof, but looking at it and some of the fabrics, over time they will get damp, but they still keep you warm because they have a membrane in the middle behind this that keeps water from going through. So this is more waterproof than these. None of these gloves are 100% waterproof. If you're in persistent rain, you've got to work at keeping your rain jersey, your rain jacket, because when it's raining, you got to have a jacket to keep the rain off. Put your rain jacket over here because this is where the water starts creeping in, where they meet. So you got to make sure you protect that. If you do that, this will keep your hands dry. Definitely. They're a lot bulkier than the Ultras. But they're not bulkier to the point where you can't operate your brakes and your shifting and so forth. They're pretty good. And you can always layer. You can wear these. I did not have to size up to get these to work. So I just got my regular size. They're made a little loose. So you can wear these knits under them and then slide them in there. Easy to get on. Some of the gloves, when you put them on and you're taking them off, the inner lining pulls out when you're getting your hands out, so you need to use the fingers first, pull them off your fingers, so you don't have to get that lining popping out. But these with a liner, they're very warm. So these are my serious gloves when it's really, really cold. Now, that talks about the hands. Besides the hands, your head and your face, because when it's 7 Celsius or let's say even 0 Celsius, the wind hurts your face. So in those instances, you have options. If you don't have them, you need to shop. Get a balaclava. A lot of them are made out of wool. They have different styles. Let me see here. I've got one from, this is Rafa's take on this. Let me show you this one first. This is like a 3/4 balaclava. This thing will keep your face nice and comfortable. Okay. Then Rafa expects you to protect your dome. And I like this on days that are changeable, because if the temperature is going to start out at say -2 Celsius and get up to 10 Celsius, I wear this because it's easier to regulate your temperature with this versus a full balaclava. Okay, you can put a hat over it or a skull cap, you know, something like this, and you're good to go. Now, let me take this off and explain. If the day is going to stay 7°C or lower, it's just going to be cold the whole day. This is when you break out your full balaclavas. Let's see here. Let me show you one I got from Sportful. This is made by Sportful. I like it because of the way it sits on your face. It's very comfortable, and they designed it. And I want to come a little closer so you can see the different vents they put around the face. So right on the side here, I hope the camera will pick it up. They put vent holes there and on the nose. Now, it allows you to breathe easily without a lot of moisture buildup. Because when this is on your face and you start to go hard, it can be an issue. What I like, there's several things I like. You wear this, you can put it here when it's very cold. Once you start to ride hard, your breath creates a lot of heat up here. So there's a need for you to do this, or even this. And this thing conforms. You can pull it down to your chin, you can do this, and that's fine. But once it gets near like 10 Celsius or so, then you may need to take it off. What I do is when it's 7°C or lower and I wear this in combination with this, because the air goes through here to where this is not that warm. It's designed to not be warm because they expect you to heat up when you start to ride. So it's not a heavy material. But this is what I do. I combine, that's like layering your head. And all of that fits under a helmet with no problems. I don't even have to adjust it. That will fit under my helmet, no problem. Okay? Now, some of you may have to loosen the back of the helmet to get it on, or even the strap, maybe. But with just the balaclava, I found that there was no need to. You just put it on, it doesn't take any time. You put it on, you adjust back there if you need to. But I usually have one helmet set up to where I just take it from my winter stuff, put it on, because it's one or two little clicks in the back and it's ready to go. My favorite balaclava is made by ASOS. And the reason I favor it is because they took the time to actually mold the balaclava like the human face. Okay, I'm holding the thing like that. You'd think they put stuff in there. That's the way it looks. This is not a full balaclava. They do sell one, but I really did not need it for where we live now. That's more for like serious extreme cold. But this one is like a take, they call it a face mask. I like it because once you get it on, they have several different kind of materials in this one garment. You can use it just as a neck collar if you choose to. But when you pull it up here, it stays off your mouth. It's almost like a ridge. Stays off your mouth so you can talk freely. And then when you breathe, you don't get that hot air filling up your face like you do on the other one I just had on. So you can keep this on longer. And what I like to do is couple it on cold days with this and the 3-3 winter head cap. I think they call it, they have an unusual name for these. I don't know if they put the name in here. Yeah, they call it their RoboFoil. This is a size 2 RoboFoil. This is the 3-3 RoboFoil. I pair it with this, and I can regulate my temperature. When it's below 7°C, just like I showed earlier, I'll wear it with this and this. Okay, like that. Or I can wear it with this woolen cap, which comes over my ears, keeps me nice and warm. Okay, you have to really pay attention to how you're going to feel. If I'm going to ride very hard that day, even though it's cold, I will use this Rafa hat, which is lighter, because early in the morning when I'm warming up, this RoboFoil is not warm enough. But once I get going and start to ride hard, it gets warm. And I like to be able to take this off, fold it away, put it in the jersey pocket, and just keep the RoboFoil on and ride when you're riding hard because your body heats up. That's a lot of flexibility. So there is no one thing. You're going to have to get these different pieces. But as a basis, in this temperature range, you need to be prepared to cover your face. There is another option in this base layer that I talked about. They have a built-in face covering on the neck. That's what you're looking at here. And I'm going to put it on and show you. So you don't have to carry those all the time. But when it's really cold, I still carry that because they just feel better against my face than this built-in one. I'm going to put it on and show you. The built-in one seems to smash against your face. It's not built with the right kind of fabrics. They use different fabrics. This is almost like a light neoprene, and then they put a breathable piece here. So the neoprene holds its shape away from your face. And that makes all the world of difference on long rides. Whereas, if you have this is better than nothing. So if you have a base layer with a built-in face covering, you can pull this up like this. But once you start to go hard, your breath just heats up this area because this is smashed up on my face versus what I showed you. You can even hear how I'm talking differently. That's the biggest difference. This one I like to use like this. I even use it in combination with this. And if it's very cold, I may put this on the inside. When it's not that cold, I leave it on the outside. Like this. Leave it on the outside and then you put your jersey over it. You seal this area. So that's how you protect your hands and your feet. So with the overshoes for your feet, with the deep winter gloves, because a lot of these vendors will just say deep winter. They don't give you ranges, and some of their ranges don't hold up. There is another glove in this same category. It's made by Sportful. They call it Fiandre. And when you read up about it, you get all excited. But to tell you the truth, it doesn't keep you warm much below 5 Celsius. Below 5 Celsius, all this and ultras, you start to feel the cold. So what I've been doing is, if it's going to be below 5 Celsius to start the ride, I wear one of these layers. And I make sure that this is either inside the glove, really securely, or over the glove. You know, because I want to make sure there's no air getting in between this. This has a nice zipper, so it zips up. This has a neoprene. And what I learned is this neoprene works best against your skin. So with this glove here, I make sure the neoprene is on my skin, and this guy is over the neoprene. And I had to experiment on a ride. There's a video I made, one of the group rides where we're talking about it. Those are the things you're going to have to figure out. There is no easy way. You can't just sit around and try to say, oh, I'm just going to read about it. No, you got to get out there and try it and see what works for you. Some days you're going to have to carry more stuff, take them out, put them up, put them in your pockets, wherever, you know. So I use the security pocket on the jersey or whatever, just to make sure. But I wanted to share this real quickly. This is for really what I call deep winter stuff. 7°C or lower, you got to go. Now, if it goes much below, say, -5 or, you know, because at 0, you're at 32. At -3, you're at 27. At -6, you're at 22. So when it gets around -6, you're gonna have to either get some of those heated gloves that some of them are battery powered, or maybe get some heating pack to put in your glove, you know, or get like the 2-finger lobster cover glove to add to what you have. You keep these on that I've talked about with their layers, and you put them under one of those mittens per se. They have them out there. You know, depending on the area you live in, you're going to have to do that as it gets deeper. But do not ignore the fact that during most of the winter, when it's cold, it's usually wet. Don't mess around in the wet and not protect yourself and keep yourself dry. A lot of these gloves will keep water off, especially this and this. They'll keep water off, and that's what you want to look for when you're selecting your gloves. The shoe covers will keep water off to a certain point, so you got to pay attention to that as well. Some people get like these socks that are waterproof, and you can put them on and put them in your shoe. They work really well, you know, in addition to what I've shown you here. There's no way I can cover everything, but this is just a guideline. I hope this will help some of you get started. I will start rolling out additional videos for like spring, fall temperatures and so forth, so we can have all the ranges on here for you to refer to. But this is a good start, and then you kind of work from there for your personal range, because some people run colder, some people run warmer than other riders, okay? So to that effect, let nothing stop you from getting your Ks in.